Hi, I'm Dustin Abbott, and I'm here today to give you an overview of a series of new lenses from the company Sirui. And this is their Sniper series of autofocusing lenses. So the Sirui Sniper series is a new set of autofocusing APS-C primes for Sony E, Fuji X, and Nikon Z mounts. You can get them in either 23mm, 33mm, or 56mm focal length, and they all have a maximum aperture of f1.2. They also all come with a price point of $349 US, or $999 for all three of them in a kit with this custom case. But the early bird pricing on them is $299 US per lens, or $849 for this series. So the question is are these new lenses worth buying if you are shooting on either Fuji X, which I'm reviewing on, Sony E, or Nikon Z mounts? We'll dive into the details right after a word from our sponsor.
Today's episode is brought to you by Fantom Wallet, the minimalist modern wallet that is now even better with the new Fantom X that is crafted from aluminum right here in Canada. It is 22% smaller and 35% lighter, while still making it easy to access your cards and money when you need them, thanks to their unique fanning mechanism. You could even customize your wallet due to its modular design, with accessories like a money clip, cash holder, ID display, and even Chipolo and AirTag tracking integration. Visit store.fantomwallet.com to check out their unique sizes, styles, and finishes that span from aluminum to wood to carbon fiber, and use code DUSTIN15 for 15% off when you're ready to check out.
23mm, 33mm, and 56mm, those correspond to the full frame equivalents of the very popular 35mm, 50mm, and 85mm focal lengths. And so for many people, those will be the primary focal lengths that they'll actually reach for in a prime lens. I will be doing individualized reviews on each one of these lenses, as obviously there are some things that are common across the series, but other things that are lens specific, like certain optical properties and even some aspects of autofocus. Really unique to these particular lenses is the fact that they have a unique design and a different look than anything else on the market. So I really applaud Sirui for not giving us basically kind of carbon copies or copycat lenses of what's already on the market, but all of them are unique in the overall look, the various textures and design elements of them. The series can be had in either the black version, which I'm reviewing here, though it's not purely black, it's black with carbon fiber accents, real carbon fiber. The silver versions have an aluminum alloy section, and then the white versions have a ceramic baked paint. And so all of them have kind of a little bit of an upscale design element as a part of them, which is really cool. The lenses themselves are not super small. They are 72mm by my measurement in diameter, or 2.83 inches, and right over 92mm in length, or 3.6 inches. There is some minor give and take depending on the mount that you're choosing. But as far as the 23mm, 33mm, and 56mm, all of them share the exact same exterior elements. The weight is going to vary a little bit because the optical elements inside vary somewhat. The 23mm weighs in at 380 grams, or 13.4 ounces. The 33mm is 398 grams, or 14 ounces. And then the 56mm is 419 grams, or 14.7 ounces. So obviously, the longer the focal length, the more weight there is, because the elements inside have to get correspondingly larger, because they're all conforming to that maximum aperture of f1.2. All of them share a 58mm front filter thread, so obviously you can share filters across the set. And I will also note that when it comes to the optical design, the other shared element here is that Sirui is promising that they all have an identical color signature, or a consistent color across all three lenses. And so if you're using them as a series, you can match images or video footage very simply. So while I applaud all the different design elements, textures, and color variations that are here that make these look individual, outside of that, there's not a whole lot going on in terms of features. There's no switches, no aperture ring, or weather sealing in these, and so depending on the lens, that will put them at a bit of a disadvantage compared to some competing lenses. The manual focus ring is really the only thing on the barrel, and it has a little bit of a unique, more of a diamond style pattern that the closest thing I can think of in terms of the feel feels like the control ring on Canon RF lenses, but different from the typical ribs that you'll see on focus rings, but it works, and the overall weight of the focus ring is good. It's a little bit on the light side, but there is a consistent 360 degrees of rotation on all of these three lenses. Though I will note on Fuji's a little bit different when it comes to manual focus, and so I find that particularly when you get towards the minimum focus distance, you can actually make a number of rotations to kind of get it all the way to minimum focus. So it's a little bit of annoying, but it's also something that I see fairly commonly on Fuji that I don't see on third-party lenses that are available on multiple platforms. Now, a plastic lens hood is included with all of these lenses. They're petal shaped on the 23mm and 33mm, and then we have just a typical kind of squared off ring shape on the 56mm. Now, one thing that did kind of stand out to me on these lenses is that their caps are quite low profile, and so the front lens cap is thinner than usual. It's pinch style with either the side or the center pinch, but the cap itself is quite low profile, and so when it slips in there, it fits in without adding a lot of extension in the front. But then in particular, the rear cap is really low profile. I kind of like the design here because already these lenses are not on the small side, so when it comes to storing them, it just makes them that little bit slimmer because of that. One feature that I do applaud here is that there is a USB-C port on the lens mount itself, and so that allows you to do easy and quick firmware updates, helps to future-proof the lens, but also considering that Sirui is brand new to doing autofocus, it will allow them to do firmware updates to tweak the focus algorithms and just ensure increasingly better performance as we move ahead. That's something that Viltrox, for example, was very proactive about early on in their autofocus lens designs, and I think it really paid off for them. They would make ongoing updates to their focus algorithms, making them focus better, and then by the next generation of lenses, you could see that kind of accumulated progress from autofocus design, and so I'm really glad to see that here as well. One other slightly pro-grade feature is that we have a larger than typical amount of aperture blades. Really works with lenses with a large maximum aperture of f1.2, and so in this case we have 11 aperture blades, which helps to ensure a more circular shape. Obviously, when you have a huge f1.2 aperture, you do have more room for stopping down, even if it's as simple as going down to say f1.8 or f2. And so as a byproduct, having that more circular aperture shape allows you to have more consistently round specular highlights, bokeh balls or bokeh highlights, and so I really appreciate the larger or higher aperture blade count in these lenses. Now, one final thing to note on the build and handling size, the minimum focus distance is 30 centimeters for the 23mm, 40 centimeters for the 33mm, and then 60 centimeters for the 56mm. That does not produce a particularly high maximum magnification. All of them have roughly a 0.10 times magnification, kind of like early Viltrox lenses, that's not particularly a strength for these lenses. I really do appreciate, however, above all, the nice materials that are used here and the unique design elements that make these lenses look not only attractive, but different from other lenses on the market. Now, when it comes to autofocus, all of them sport an STM focus motor, and in my tests, obviously this is their first kick at the can for doing autofocus, so overall I think that they've done a fairly good job here. Autofocus speed is about average for an STM type focus motor. There are some that are faster, there are some that are slower as well. But we're about average here. I did note maybe a tiny step in the autofocus process. You get about 2/3 of the way there. There's a tiny pause, a tiny step, and then the final 1/3 of focus. So that slows down the overall focus speed just a little bit. The focus noise is actually quite low. There is a very light click if you put your ear next to it as when autofocus changes are taking place, but overall it is really quiet. And they have kind of detuned focus a little bit, and so it's quieter still in video mode. So focus noise, not an issue. Focus accuracy overall is fairly good. I did get some back focus results sometimes when I was shooting photos of the cats, at f1.2. But for the most part, I would say that my autofocus accuracy was fairly good. Also, particularly with humans, you can see that on Fuji X-H2, which I did the review on, you can see that the tracking of the eye for a human subject is quite excellent. It's staying sticky as I move around, and as they move around, it's definitely doing a good job of detecting the eye. Now, on the video front, things not quite as rosy. Video focus pulls, there's a lot of obvious stepping as a part of that process. It's not particularly reactive. Focus changes are somewhat slow. And also I found that when trying to touch the screen to begin a focus pull, there wasn't a whole lot of responsiveness. It's almost like a lag before anything started to happen. And even when I did my hand test with the various lenses, I found that there was definitely a delay when I moved my hand out of the way before focus started to move towards my eye, and then vice versa. When I put my hand up, there was a lag before it started that transition to my hand. And so I would say that for any kind of fast action or major focus pulls, this is not necessarily, these lenses are not great for that. So I certainly wouldn't buy these to use for sports photography, or if your video style uses a lot of, big focus changes. Now, when it came to, for example, this shot where we've got a snow-covered, plant that's blowing around, you can see that focus was keeping up fine with that, and so there's nothing jarring about it. No big, pulses or pulls where it goes off and loses focus. So for that kind of more simple arrangement, I think that you'll do fine. But you just need to be aware that these lenses don't have enough, I think, torque or focus power in the motors to do things really fast or reactive. Now, when it comes to the image quality, obviously that will deserve a lot of that for the individual breakdowns of the lenses. But I will tell you this in terms of the commonalities. All of them suffer from some fringing, longitudinal chromatic aberration. So you will see some fringing before and after the plane of focus. You will see some in bokeh highlights. The distortion and vignette is fairly low for all of the lenses. We got a bit of barrel distortion in the 23mm. 33mm is fairly close to neutral. The 56mm suffers from some pincushion distortion. It's all quite mild. And also vignette is fairly mild. It's most pronounced on the 23mm, close to 2 stops. The other 2 lenses have just about 1 stop of vignette, so that's not going to be a significant issue, and is a pretty strong performance, particularly on these when you're talking about an f1.2 aperture. The overall look from the images is somewhat consistent in that they tend to be what you kind of euphemistically call dreamy at large apertures. Contrast is not super high, and I will note that that's exaggerated a bit by being on the 40 megapixel Fujifilm X-H2 that I reviewed them on, which is the most demanding platform that I review lenses on. And so in this case, these lenses, they are not going to be razor sharp wide open, a little bit dreamy, kind of remind me a bit of the old classic Zeiss planar 50mm f1.4, or the more recent Voigtlander Nocton 40mm f1.2. And so what you get is kind of 2 different personalities. You'll get a more dreamy look at large apertures, you stop them down, and you can get, more high contrast, high detailed, sharper looking results. One thing that is also consistent, however, is that the bokeh quality is quite good. They have a larger maximum aperture than most competing lenses, so the bokeh is a little bit creamier, a little bit softer than what you're going to see. Specular highlights are a little bit larger than competing lenses. And I would say that that is the strength of these lenses, is more the overall rendering rather than pixel peeping sharpness for them. So I would say that these are best suited for those that kind of like that split personality of being able to get dreamy images wide open and then more contrast at smaller apertures. In conclusion, these lenses are an interesting addition to the market. I'm always happy to see new players coming onto the market, and I will say in particular for Fujifilm and then also for Nikon Z-mount, in that those platforms until recently have been closed, so there isn't as many competing lenses as there is, for example, on Sony E-mount. At the same time, however, these are new options and they give, in many cases, a wider or a brighter maximum aperture compared to the competitors, and they're also really well priced. Particularly if you're getting at that early bird price point of $300 a piece, that's a pretty strong value for an autofocusing f1.2 lens. Autofocus in this case is not what I would call sophisticated or super high powered. However, it is good enough, accurate enough for most people in most situations. And I suspect that will probably be enough at this point. I would say that these lenses are a good fit for those of you that don't like, say, the Sigma approach. Sigma tends to do very high corrections on their lenses, and so they have low aberrations, they're quite sharp at large apertures, but maybe don't have as much personality, a little bit more clinical, some might say. These lenses are kind of the opposite end of the spectrum. They're less corrected, they're definitely not clinical, they're a little bit more kind of analog in the look, and you'll either love that or you'll hate it. And that's why it's great to have options on the market. I'm Dustin Abbott, and if you want more information, you can look in the description down below and check out my full text review. And then also there will be breakdowns to the individual reviews of these lenses as I roll them out. Beyond that, there are some buying links if you'd like to purchase for yourself. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, have a great day, and let the light in.